Tonight on SportsCenter, we're breaking down a massive update out of New York, and this one could completely change the direction of the Knicks roster. It involves blockbuster trade rumors, rotation shakeups, and a decision that could define the franchise for years. And yes, this one centers around a name that's been generating buzz across the entire league: Zion Williamson. As reported this evening, the Knicks have quietly explored the possibility of making a move for Zion, a player who, when healthy, is one of the most dominant forces in basketball. But here's what makes this storyline so fascinating. This isn't some wild rumor without substance. Multiple insiders believe New York is positioning itself to pounce if the Pelicans open the door to moving their star forward. Let's talk about Zion for a second. On one hand, the upside is undeniable: elite athleticism, unmatched strength around the rim, and scoring efficiency that very few players can replicate. When he's on the floor, Zion can single-handedly change the geometry of the game. He collapses defenses, creates mismatches, and opens up opportunities for everyone else on the court. But on the other hand, there are still major concerns about his durability and availability. Health has been the primary reason why New Orleans hasn't fully realized its potential with Zion at the core. And this is exactly why his name has popped up in trade chatter. According to reports detailed tonight, there's growing belief inside the Knicks organization that Zion could be the missing piece to elevate this team into a true championship contender. Financially, this isn't a small decision. Zion is already on a major contract, which means New York has to be very careful with how they structure this deal under the new CBA rules. The second apron isn't just about money. It changes how teams can operate in trades, signings, and roster construction. Right now, the Knicks are walking a fine line after the Bridges extension and the additions of key pieces this offseason. Adding a player like Zion would be a massive commitment, but the payoff could be enormous. We're talking about pairing Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle with one of the most explosive forwards in the NBA. From a basketball standpoint, that's a core that could dominate inside while still having enough shooting and playmaking to compete with anyone in the East. Empire Sports Media and other outlets have reported that New York has held internal discussions about what it would take to land Zion if the Pelicans seriously consider moving him. And think about it. One team's uncertainty could become another team's breakthrough. The Knicks have been trying to balance win-now moves with long-term stability, and Zion represents the type of swing that can check both boxes if it works. Of course, the alternative is standing pat, keeping the current roster intact and betting on internal development. Players like Mitchell Robinson and the depth pieces have been critical to this team's rise, and making a move for Zion likely means parting with some of that depth. That's the risk. But the reward? A lineup that could overwhelm opponents in the paint and create matchup nightmares every single night. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The Knicks have been searching for that next superstar to truly take them over the top. Jalen Brunson is phenomenal, but adding Zion would give this team a dimension it simply doesn't have right now. At the end of the day, this is a wait-and-see situation. The Pelicans hold the keys, but if they make Zion available, New York is positioned to strike. It's a bold strategy, and in an era where every move matters under the new CBA, it's the kind of decision that could either push the Knicks into legitimate title contention or set them back if things go wrong. That's the reality when you operate this close to the championship line. Every move has to be calculated, precise, and impactful. And that's what this all comes down to. Can the Knicks pull off a Zion deal without sacrificing the financial and roster flexibility they've worked so hard to build? But here's where things get even more interesting. While the focus has been on incremental moves and maintaining flexibility, there's another name that's been floating around NBA circles, one that could completely change the trajectory of this franchise: Zion Williamson. According to multiple insiders, the Knicks are quietly monitoring his situation in New Orleans, and for good reason. Zion is not just another talented player. When healthy, he's a generational force. We're talking about a player who can dominate inside, create mismatches every possession, and give New York something they've lacked for years: a true physical presence who can bend defenses by himself. Pair that kind of downhill athleticism with Jalen Brunson's craft and Mikal Bridges' two-way consistency, and suddenly you're looking at an offense that can punish opponents in the paint while still spacing the floor with shooters. The question, of course, is risk versus reward. Zion's talent isn't in question. It's his availability. Injuries have been the recurring storyline of his career. And in the current CBA landscape, one wrong max-level commitment to an injury-prone star can cripple your cap flexibility for years. That's why the Knicks front office is treading carefully. They've done everything right up to this point, locking in Bridges on a below-market extension, keeping Brunson happy with a smart contract, and maintaining depth without sacrificing financial health. A move for Zion would test that discipline like nothing else. But here's the flip side. Zion is only 25. His best basketball could still be ahead of him. And with the Pelicans rumored to be open to reshaping their roster, the Knicks see an opportunity. Imagine a front court with Julius Randle at the 4 and Zion at the 5 in small ball lineups, surrounded by shooters. That's nightmare fuel for opposing defenses. And defensively, with Thibodeau's schemes and Zion's physical gifts, you can mask weaknesses while creating an elite transition attack. Now let's talk cost. Any deal for Zion wouldn't come cheap. We're talking about multiple first-round picks and likely 1 or 2 rotation players. The Knicks have the draft capital and the contracts to make it work. But the bigger question is philosophical. Do you break up some of the chemistry you've built for a swing this big? Or do you stay the course with a team that's already projected among the top contenders in the East? According to FanDuel's latest odds, New York sits right behind Cleveland and Oklahoma City in the title race, with the Knicks listed at plus 1850. That's elite company. Adding Zion, if he's healthy, could catapult them into the very top tier. But if the gamble fails, if injuries persist, the consequences are enormous. That's why this isn't just a trade rumor, it's a franchise-defining decision. So, Knicks fans, the question is simple but massive. Do you roll the dice on Zion Williamson and go all in for a potential championship? Or do you stick with the blueprint that's gotten you this far? Sustainable growth, smart contracts, and calculated move. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're as intrigued by this storyline as we are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest updates. This story isn't going away anytime soon. The Knicks have positioned themselves perfectly. And if the Zion sweepstakes officially open, don't be surprised if New York is one of the first teams on the phone. Until then, stay locked in, Knicks fans. The next chapter could be the biggest one yet. As this situation unfolds, the pressure on New York's front office is undeniable. Every move is being analyzed through the lens of championship aspirations. And the decision between Robinson's elite rim protection and Beasley's offensive spark could define how this roster performs when it matters most. Depth and versatility have become critical in an Eastern Conference that's more competitive than ever, where even the smallest adjustments can swing playoff matchups. From the defensive end, Robinson provides a foundation that few players can replicate, the ability to protect the paint without sacrificing mobility. That kind of presence changes the dynamic of a series, especially against physical front courts or teams that thrive on attacking the rim. On the other hand, Beasley's shooting adds a different dimension, spacing the floor and creating openings for primary scorers. That kind of offensive versatility is exactly what the Knicks have lacked in previous postseason runs. All eyes will be on the organization's next steps. This isn't just about filling a role, it's about setting the tone for what New York wants to be moving forward. And with rumors of other stars like Zion Williamson constantly swirling, the urgency to solidify an identity becomes even more pressing. Every decision now shapes the future, and the margin for error has never been smaller.